peers. On the other side, modification is anything that we do to help the students learn, but in this one, we change what is being taught. We change the content. We change, so by changing the content, we actually change the expectations of expectations regarding what the students should learn, and kind of we may be lowering the standards. Okay, we may be removing some portions of the academic content. So the main difference between accommodation is and modification is one change how, the other is changing what. Okay, accommodation change how students learn, not what, but modification change what is taught or expected. So after repeating the difference between these two, I will move on to the next slide, in which we will have some accommodations and modifications listed. Please, write your response, what you think that listed thing is, whether an accommodation or a modification. Okay, let's move. Okay. Uh, Large print. Okay, we provide the student large print so that they can read better. Do you think this is a accommodation or modification? Okay, I will.
Accommodation.
Accommodation.
Okay, you can put your responses to chat, or yeah, you can unmute yourself and tell. Okay, accommodation. I see that everybody said accommodation. Yes, we are not changing anything, any content. We are just making it more accessible. The student is a change of how students are taught. Okay, and second is reduced number of choices. It's an accommodation or modification. Reduced number of choices. Okay, do we get reduced number of choices? We say, I see, mostly modification. Anyone has anything different, thinking differently? It doesn't have to be either.
I think it's still accommodation.
It's accommodation. Why do you think it is accommodation?
Because it doesn't say like you're changing the content, you're not changing the material. All you're doing is to reduce probably the amount in terms of if a kid has to make choices, then they don't have to choose from too many of them.
Oh, okay. So it is kind of making it less confusing, or making students, less tired of, seeing all that big content. Okay. Yeah, actually, this can be either. It can be either modification or accommodation, depending on what we are reducing. Okay. If we are reducing the choices in the way that we are reducing the content, okay, we are removing some higher level content from the by removing that choices, then we are kind of we are changing content. So in that case it is modification. But we are removing one of the choices out of four, because it's going to be too confusing to students, but they're all at the same level of difficulty. It doesn't impact the content. We can still test the knowledge of the student on that content. So in that case, it's a modification. So it depends, we say, for this reduced number of choices. Passages on ability level. Accommodation, modification. When we say on ability level, it's a keyword there. So we are okay. Yeah, the word itself, the ability says that it is, yeah, we are kind of changing the content. So it is a modification. Oral administration. Okay. instead of providing the content in a, in this format, we are providing in orally. So it is, we are not changing the content, we are changing how we are providing the content. It's an half change, so it's an accommodation. Lower level spelling list, lower level spelling list. For lower level, it is both. Okay, yeah, it is like reduced number of choices, right? It is whether we are removing the, content wise, or just to make it less crowded and kind of less, student will have less difficulty in terms of the, that crowd. So we, for this one, lower level spelling list, we can say both. Oh, okay. Oh, I changed my mind actually. But there's a keyword, okay? Lower level, it says. It's for sure we are changing content here. We are not providing this level of this words, but at maybe at the lower grade level of words we are providing the students. So for sure this is modification. Excuse me. I read it differently, but this says lower level, so it should be, it is for sure modification. Scribe, in to help the students with the writing, the content. Okay, this is like oral administration. It is again the as you said, yeah, accommodation. Small group. Okay, we put the students in a small group. The students work together. Okay, the same content, everything. So it is an accommodation. Okay, and fill in the blanks question instead of constructed response. Okay, fill in the blanks questions instead of constructed response. Okay, I see both accommodation and modification. Yeah, actually this can be implemented in either way. If we are reducing content, if we are lowering the standards by putting them in the fill in the blanks format instead of constructed response, yeah, we may be it may be a modification, but if we are keeping everything the same but changing the format, then it is modification. Oops, sorry. And shortened assignment. For shortened assignment. Okay. Yeah, both we say shortened assignment, both, because what we are shortening, it depends on that. Okay, let's move on to next slide, seeing further about the difference between accommodation and modification. Modifications directly alters the material, curriculum. The modification examples, removing a difficult question on tests, as we discussed by while saying that, okay, reducing the assignment and all. For example, we say that, oh, this is too difficult for the students. So modification allow for removal of the question from exam. So by removing that item or that question or that choice of the question, we are kind of keeping the standard differently for the students. So it said we are changing the content. So it is a modification. Okay. Open notes testing, more material provided. So it is regarding the content. So it is a modification as well. Modifying grades as per the IEP. Yeah, so this is changing the expectation. So it is also a modification. More examples on accommodations. One more time, let's say that accommodations affect the way a student access the curriculum, and examples: extended time, okay, the same content, the same standard expectations, but we are giving students more longer access time. Underlined notes, focused access. This is again how the student access to the material, not material itself. We are not changing material itself. Preferential setting, closer access. Okay, book read a lot, verbal access. So as you see, accommodations are all about making the access easier, not changing the standard or content or accommodation. I mean, the expectation. Okay, more examples. I think we have got into details of this. Let's say hard copy of notes are again accommodations, small group, oral administration. Okay, let me emphasize it. Altered test questions, different curriculum, modification, instruction on certain texts instead of all grade level texts. Of course, this is changing standards, changing content. So modification. Okay, do we have a question or anything? Okay, any comment? If not, okay, why we are using accommodations and modifications? Okay,
So
this is
when she saw you in the morning, she thought that you were
I think someone mistakenly unmute herself. Okay. Okay, we are using accommodations and modifications. They are big tools to help the students in any setting, in both general education or special education setting, to help them to meet their needs, to make the content accessible. And another important aspect of it, that it is legally required. Okay, we are having the art meeting, and in that we say that, okay, the students will benefit from these accommodations, from these, modifications. So we list them, and then it's a legal requirement for us now. It's a kind of law for us now. If they are in their IEP, which means they are benefiting from that, and they should be implemented. So in anything in students' art paper work must be followed. So for that reason, we are required to implement them. So it's important that you know what students have IEP in your classrooms, and what modifications, accommodations they have, and how you should be implementing them. So as I said, communication and collaboration with the special education team is very important. So I wish you all the best for the upcoming school year. Thank you.
And I can share. You can stop sharing, Miss Kamish. Hey, y'all, I am the last one. We are close to being done. Okay, thumbs up if you see it. If there, you can see that. Okay, all right. I am Pam Rustemeyer, and I am one of the special ed directors here in the central office. And again, I want to welcome you guys. We're excited to have you. And we're really happy to have the opportunity to spend just a little bit of time with you today. But let's talk about grading, because grading needs to be accommodated or modified as well, depending on the particular student and the disability and what the ARD committee said. So it could be, it can include, but isn't limited to, accommodations and modifications for assignments and assessments. You might have to have like a shortened test, or I know a lot of students will have tests that instead of maybe 4 or 5, multiple choice options, they might have like 3. It also provides fair assessments that allow students an equal opportunity to demonstrate what they know and put themselves on an equal basis with their peers. We talked about FAPE at the beginning, the free appropriate public education. So we need to make sure that the testing and the grading that we do puts them on the equal basis with their peers so that they can access the material given their disability. So it's important for you as a teacher to let the case manager know on your campus if you have any students who are really struggling. Don't wait until the last minute. We're going to talk about sending out information and data to the parents, but don't wait until those things go out to the parents. If you see the student struggling, go talk with the case manager. The case manager may say, well, it's normal for this student, or you guys might decide to go back and look at their IEP again. The important thing is if you think the student's struggling, say something about it. The progress monitoring provides the detailed and verifiable input of progress on student goals to the special ed department, a minimum of every quarter. So you have report cards, and then in between you have the progress monitoring or the progress reports that go out to the parents. All of that should be based on data, whether it's like a speech impairment, although you probably will be working more with students who are like learning disabled. But the grades that you give them and observations that you make in the classrooms, that's all data that you're collecting. You want to keep any accommodated and modified work samples. And again, your case managers will let you know exactly what they want you to keep and how often they want you to maybe turn it into them. Provide it to the SPED department when asked. We have accommodation and modification logs. And again, the case manager will help you with that on your campus, but you provide that to the SPED department when requested. So that's grading. And I think this is our last topic, confidentiality. Before I go to the next slide, I'll just say very briefly, these are students with disabilities. The fact that they have a disability is confidential to them. And so you need to make sure that you're only talking about their disability with people who need to know. Or like, for example, if you need some assistance with that student, of course, the case manager will already know that the student has a disability. So you're welcome to talk with the case manager about those students. But there is a law called FERPA. It stands for Family Educational Rights and Privacy Act. And it says that schools have to have written permission from the parent or eligible student. And the eligible student is a student who's 18 or older, and the parent does not have guardianship of them. So they have their own guardianship. You have to have permission from the parent or student in order to release any information from a student's educational record. The only exception of this, and this is not something you would do, this is something that the campus would do, but if a student leaves Harmony and goes to another school district, then there's a process in Texas by which they request the records. We do not need parental consent. And then when we receive students, we also request that same information. But aside from that, if we're talking, say, with a hospital or a doctor, we have to have written consent from the parent to do that. It includes talking with other teachers, students or parents, especially other parents and other students. You have to be really careful about what you're saying about a specific student in front of either the class or the other students, because you have to protect their confidentiality. So where do you think you should keep special education records? You can put it in the chat if you want. Any ideas of where you might keep them? A SPED binder? Yeah. A lot of them are kept on the computer, in the system that we use is called EasyIP. But you need to make sure that if you are looking something up in EasyIP, that you're not doing it with other students around or other teachers. And the same with a SPED binder. Make sure that when you are referring to it, that is kept confidential and that nobody else sees it. And then I think these are kind of easy to answer questions, but things that you need to think about. Is it appropriate to discuss a student in the teacher's lounge? The answer to that is no, because other people are going to be around. Even if, let's say that you're an ELA teacher and you're speaking with a math teacher about this student, which could be okay to do if you're helping to plan, but you just need to make sure that there aren't other people around. Not in the hallway, especially if there's other people around, parking lot. You just have to be really careful about where you are when you're speaking with or about students. And I like the secure documents under strong passwords. Good job. So parent communication. You will be communicating with parents and talking with parents. You always want to remain professional. Even when they are not remaining professional, and even when you might not be agreeing with what they're saying, you still have to keep it at a professional level. If it's getting to the point where you feel it might be abusive, talk with your principal about it, and then the campus can take some action. But just remember, it's always about the student, and try to maintain a good relationship with those parents. Don't communicate via text message. You don't want to give out your personal phone number to to parents. There are ways that the campus has to communicate with parents, and that's what you want to stick with. But anytime that you do communicate with a parent, you want to keep a detailed record of it. And I don't mean just saying, hi in the car rider line or whatever. But when you're talking to the parent about the progress of your student, then there will be a place where you can document that. Never tell a parent through verbal or written communication that you don't provide accommodations or modifications in your classroom. We've heard people say this, and unfortunately, that's illegal, and it really could get Harmony into trouble. But not just that, it's really about the student. And so if you're not providing the accommodation or the modification in your classroom that the ARC committee said the student needs in order to receive FAPE, then you're not providing the student the education that they need to have. So definitely don't say those kinds of things to parents. And anytime you're in doubt, you can contact the administrator or your case manager for support. If you're having difficulty with parents or a specific parent, more than likely you are not the only person. So I would say get with other people on your campus, not necessarily talking about the student, but about how to best communicate with the parent. And I'm sorry, I see we have a question. I'm going to call you Mr. I'm probably not saying your name right, but Mr. Kazimov, Mr. K, do you have a question? No, okay. Okay, other things not to say to a parent. Your child is lazy. I will tell you the word lazy is one of my triggers. I don't know students who are lazy. I know students who have disabilities who might struggle to start something because of their disability. But for the most part, students are not lazy, but that's definitely not a word we want to use with parents. I only teach regular students is another one we've heard that we really want you guys to stay away from. I don't do accommodations in my class. Yes, you do. I provide accommodations that I feel are appropriate. Well, if you feel they're appropriate, then you need to go to the ARD for the student and have those built in. But whatever the ARD committee agrees on is what you have to provide in your class. I don't have time to do accommodations, and they can be time consuming, and we definitely recognize that y'all are really busy. But again, it's not a choice. It's a legal thing. And your child needs an evaluation or medication. Let's talk about the medication. There's actually a law that says you are not allowed to say to a parent, your child needs medication. That is illegal in the state of Texas. Now, like I said, I'm a school psychologist. I do not have a medical background, but I've worked with a lot of children on medications. I have said to parents things like, there's things that you can do for his disability outside the home. You might want to contact your doctor just to see if there's anything that the doctor might be able to do. Again, that's coming from a school psychologist. I wouldn't recommend that you say that as a teacher. And then as far as like your child needs to be evaluated, you want to leave that up to the case manager. There's a certain way that you have to talk to parents to get informed consent, and they have received training on it. So if you feel like a student does need to be evaluated, reevaluated, talk with the case manager about it. And so now we're going to talk about students or discipline for students with disabilities. And I like this little comic because everyone in the class is expelled, but the teacher doesn't know. Okay, so all students are required to follow the Student Code of Conduct. However, there are limitations on the disciplinary actions that you can take against students with disabilities. What the law says is that you cannot discipline a student if the behavior for which they're being disciplined is specifically caused by the disability. And let me rephrase that. You can absolutely discipline students, but there are certain disciplinary actions like expulsion that can't be taken without first going through documentation, and there's an ARD process, etc. And their campus will have a disciplinary committee as well. But instead, what you want to focus on are interventions and prevention. So if you have a student in your classroom with some behavioral issues, and you know that there are certain things that are going to trigger the student, as much as possible, you want to pare those down. You also want to follow everything on their behavior intervention plan. So sometimes students with behavioral disabilities, like the emotional disability or other health impairment for ADHD, they can't sit still. They might challenge you quite a bit. They might want to argue with you. Those are all things that as a teacher, it can be difficult to deal with. But just remember that these are children who can have behavioral challenges due to their disability. So you want to follow their behavior intervention plan and talk with your case manager if you're having difficulties with that student. But just from you guys, what are some things we can do to support the students instead of punishing them for their disability? Have any ideas?
Maybe redirect them.
I'm sorry, say that again.
You redirect the student.
Very good. Very good. You can redirect them, and I think of redirection as two different things. One is telling them again to do whatever it is they're not doing. But another thing is when a student is arguing a lot of times, what they're trying to do is get out of doing the work you're telling them to do. So redirect, that would be a good time to redirect them. How was your weekend? And as soon as they say, oh, it was good or whatever, okay, now we're going to go into whatever the work is. Try really hard not to argue with students, because again, it's generally not a battle you're going to win. And it's a technique that students use in order to avoid the demands that you're giving out. Positive reinforcement, yay! research shows that positive reinforcement is much more effective at changing behavior than punishment. So apply techniques shared by an OT, for example, breathing technique, using fingers if they have big emotions, crying, very good. I see you guys have some experience in this. Some calming exercises, calm them down and talk to them, build a safe, predictable routine. That I love that one, y'all. Routines for kids, especially on the autism spectrum, students with ADHD and some students with emotional disabilities, they really need to have predictability. And if they're not able to predict what's coming, their anxiety goes through the roof, and that's where you can get some behavioral acting out. So build in that routine and letting them know when the routine might change. Excellent. And teach self-regulation. Great. Self-regulation is a way to control your own emotions. Very good. You guys have some good ideas. And that, y'all, that's it. Do you have any questions for any of us on the team? Okay. I'm going to hand it back over to you, Dr. Chetnikaya, because it doesn't seem like there's any questions at this time.
There is one in the chat.
Okay.
Can I ask a question as well?
Oh, I see. What happens if we provide all the necessary support, accommodations, and do our best to help a student, but the student chooses not to engage and ends up failing? That is a really, really good question. Thank you for asking that. We have to provide the support and the accommodations. If a student chooses not to do it, then there's nothing we can do. However, I would caution you to not make the decision on your own that that's what the child is choosing to do. Make sure that you talk with the case manager, and it might even be something that you need to talk about in an ARD. But there is a misconception that students in special ed or with a disability can't be failed. That's not true. They can be failed. However, you need to make sure that you're still providing those accommodations and follow up with an ARD committee to make sure that everything the student needs is being implemented. So good question. Oh, and you guys had the same question. Anything
Can I
else?
ask some more question? Can you hear me?
Yes, sir.
Yes, I can
Please.
hear you.
I have several questions, if possible. I'm not sure, maybe you already mentioned or not. The first of all, let's imagine we have 30 students in the class. What is the student ratio? Like in each class, how many SCN or disability students we may have? This is the first one. And the second one, in some international schools, there are some regulations. Let's say for each 4 students, 1 SCN teachers are assigned. It's based on the school's policies as well. But how is it in harmony? And the next question, you mentioned about the grading assessment. You will have some differentiation assessment, but as I understood, in the end of the academic year, the school is applying that STAR assessment. Like for those SCN students, how are we going to implement those STAR assessment? Because even for the assessment,
I'm going to have you hold on there. I'm going to have you
Yes,
hold
please.
on there because I'm losing track of your questions. So let me start with the first one. You asked how many students. It really depends on the class and the students. But we have what's called an FTE that your case managers and the district coordinators can assist with to see how many students or how many teachers you need for specific classrooms. And then any of my coworkers here that I can't remember the rest of the questions. You asked about grading?
Yes, it was about grading. In the end of the academic year, as they told us, we'll have the STAR assessment. Are we going to have a pull out for even assessment, or how those SCN students are going to take those STAR assessment?
The STAR assessment can have accommodations. Those are determined by the ARD committee. Is that your question?
Yeah, so like all students take them except for life skill students, right? Even if the students are pulled out and they take the same test, but they can have accommodations. So yes, some students may be pulled out. They may need a small group administration. So they would be in a separate location in the school, but some others would be just fine with a couple of accommodations on the screen because now we have online STAR testing. So that will be the support they need. For individually, each student's needs, both 504 and SPED students, accommodations are determined specifically for state assessments. And then those are put in place when the time comes. And testing coordinators, case managers, they all know about it and implement those.
Thank you so much. Can I add one more question, please?
Absolutely.
How about the language barrier students? Let's say, how many maximum periods the teachers are pulling out those students from those main subjects? It may be a SCN student or it may be a language barrier student. Like 5 periods in a week or 6 periods in a week, what might be the maximum period for the pull out for those students?
I don't know the answer to that question. Any of my coworkers, I don't know that there's a maximum amount.
Yeah. Again, it depends, unfortunately. We have a lot of it depends answers here.
But with special ed, it's always, it depends.
We have, I think when you say language barrier students, you mean we have EB students, emergent bilingual, or they were called ESL students. So there is a different system for them. Usually they are getting support in the classroom. Some that have major needs are pulled out. But for special education, a student might have speech therapy. So they are pulled out for speech therapy. They may have math resource time. So they may be pulled out for math. That's why we don't say you cannot pull them out more than this many times or less than this many times. And some of them will stay in the classroom the whole time. They won't have any pullouts. That's why that's all determined for individual students during those ARD or 504 meetings. Anything else anyone wants to add?
Thank you so much for those answers.
Thanks for the question.
No problem. Mm-hmm.
Okay, anyone else?
Okay. I think the time is up.
Okay, well, thank you guys very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chetinkaya and your
Thank
group.
you so much for all of
Thank you all.
Thank you very much.
Have a great school year. Good luck.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay. Okay, guys. 3 p.m. we will be here.
Alo. Alan abi. Hocam haklı. Beginde. Oyunuz iyice notlarsınız abi. Tamam.
Hi, good afternoon. Mr. Emir, are you ready, sir?
Yes, sir. Do you want me to start right now? Good afternoon.
Yes, sir. If you are ready, you can start.
Yes, let me share my screen and go ahead and start.
Yes,
Thank
sir.
you. Okay. I just shared my screen. Are you
Yes, we
able to
can
see
see.
my screen right now? Okay,
Yes,
great.
sir.
Yes, these are, let me introduce myself. Congratulations, by the way, to all of our new teachers, everyone. Yeah, my name is Mehmet Emir. I'm the Director of Student and Family Engagement. Basically, I am taking care of the after-school programs and family relations and family programs at our campuses, and overall in our system in the central office. Yeah, what I'm going to talk about today, I want to give you kind of a brief information about what we are doing, what my department doing. By the way, Student and Family Engagement is under College and Career Department in our system. We are working as a part of our College and Career Department. But overall, you may call Student and Family Engagement or Parent Engagement. Okay, mainly today I wanted to give you a little bit more information or introductory information about the student engagement and the parent engagement. And the student engagement mainly will be about after-school programs, which we call Harmony After School Academy. And the parent, when we say parent engagement, parent engagement, I'm going to talk about the home visits initially. Okay, but I wanted to give you a little bit more information about the sorry about that. Are you able to see the screen, my screen clearly? Okay.
Yes.
Good.
Yes, sir.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, perfect. Under student engagement, when we say student engagement, what we need to understand, we need to first of all understand the after school program, any of them, and we call after school academy, and including all of our extracurricular activities. And students trips, college trips, out of state, in state, and in city trips are also included in these students trips. Students educational trips, you may call. Athletics, also any kind of competitions, sports activities, and are established teams in any sports competing against the other sports teams in an established league that we call athletics. And if it's going to be